Good evening. In today's session, we are going to discuss regarding another very important topic under agriculture, and that topic is agricultural pricing. Agricultural pricing means how exactly the government decides about the pricing of various crops. Clear? Number one. Number two, what are the policies that are there in India and who decides these policies, how these policies are decided. Then we will be discussing regarding MSP. It stands for minimum support price. Next is the procurement price. Next is the issue price, and followed by distribution. Let's understand this topic in a very simple format like this. If you look at India, we have nearly 150 crores population, and India is the largest populated country in the world. We all know that. But whether every citizen in India, whether every family in India has the capacity to purchase the food grains on their own? Answer is a definite no. This is because even today also in India, large number of people are living under poverty. They are living below poverty line. So obviously their purchasing capacity is not at all high, and their purchasing capacity is very bleak. That is the reason why if you don't purchase the food grains, and if you don't have the food, you will not have energy. And if you don't have the energy for longer period, you will die. And government cannot see people dying of a starvation. That is the reason why it is a responsibility of the government to protect every life in the country. That is the reason why, in order to provide food grains to the people who are below poverty line, in order to provide the food grains to the people who are in need of food grains at cheaper prices, the government will procure the food grains. So the government is coming into the picture, and there is a government agency called Food Corporation of India. You already know that one. So that Food Corporation of India will collect, gather and store large number of food grains, and from these storage places, those food grains are distributed among the people at cheaper prices. Meaning the government is procuring at the higher price, government is distributing at the cheaper price. And whatever the difference here, clear? So the difference is the procurement price and the issue price, and that is called subsidy. Today, large number of people in the country, they are getting the food grains at a very cheaper rates because of the contribution of the government. Government is purchasing at higher rates and providing the same food grains to the people in need for very cheaper rates. Am I clear? So like this, the government has to operate every minute. Now the point is that the government will be in a position to provide food grains to the people only when the government is able to procure the food grains. Point number one. Point number two, government will be in a position to procure the food grains only when the food grains are available in the market. Food grains are available in the market only when they are produced by the farmers. So that is the reason why farmers are very important people, right? So in order to encourage, so it is the responsibility of the government to encourage farmers to go for the production. But majority of the times the farmers see that they are not inclined to go for the production because of the cost. So they are investing lot of money, and they are spending lot of money, and expenditure is becoming more than the income. So many of them are incurring losses. So obviously when you are incurring loss for a longer period of time, you will lose interest, and you don't want to run this. That is the reason why the government has come into the picture. Government is assuring the farmers that government is there behind you. You just go for the production, you just go for the cultivation and produce the food grains. Come what may, we will see that you will not be at loss, and we will be purchasing. We means the government will be purchasing food grains from the farmers at the minimum support price. Meaning, minimum support price is nothing but this is an assurance that is given, guarantee that is given by the government to the farmers, right? So come what may, come, whatever may be the situation, let it be any eventuality, you don't worry about your produced. Government will be procuring all your food grains, and for that minimum support price will be given, so that the farmers will not be at loss. Clear? So this is how government is encouraging the farmers. Farmers are producing and the government is procuring, and the procured food grains are distributed. That is at a very very cheaper rates. That is called issue price. Clear? One is the minimum support price. You are procuring the food grains, and the procured food grains are being issued to the people, distributed to the people at the issue price, so that the government is protecting the farmers. The government is also protecting the people by providing the food grains at a very very nominal prices. Clear? So for this one, government has to work a lot. Government has to take so many factors into consideration. What are all these? Let's try to understand. Am I clear? So now let's go ahead. Please look at this one. This is what we are going to discuss. Agricultural pricing and policy in India. Number one, MSP, minimum support price, procurement price, issue price, and distribution. Regarding all these we are going to discuss now. Look at this. MSP stands for minimum support price. Here you have an agency by name CACP. You must remember this particular, this abbreviation and its full form. It stands for Commission for Agricultural Cost and Prices. Clear? I'll make it more simple for you. CACP is a government agency that will recommend minimum support price, meaning ultimate decision has to be taken by the government. But government cannot enter into all these things, and government cannot be looking into all these things on its own. That is the reason why CACP has been created, and the responsibility of the CACP is to present a report to the government after taking various factors into consideration, then recommend to the government with respect to the minimum support price, and ultimately MSP is announced by the government. Clear? But who recommends for MSP? Who decides MSP? Your answer is the CACP. Very 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 important. Clear? So once you start reading the newspaper, you will come across all these things in the newspaper. Clear? This is the point number one. Number two, MSP is the price. Minimum support price is the price at which the government purchases crops from the farmers to safeguard the interest of the farmers. Right? So here again I would like to touch one point which I have already explained to you. Farmers, majority of the farmers are innocent and they are poor. They are getting the loan and investing in the agriculture. If anything goes wrong, the farmer and his family will get collapsed. Clear? That is the reason why many of the farmers may not come forward to go for the investment by getting the loans or credits. This is the place where exactly the government is coming into the picture. You please don't worry and just go ahead with the harvesting, the cultivation. Government is there behind you to give you the protection by purchasing your food grains with a minimum support price. Am I clear? Sometimes what may happen, as you know, there may be a bumper crop, right? So huge number of the food grains, million tons of food grains are produced, and when the supply of the food grains is very very high, then what will happen to the prices? The prices will fall. Supply is more and the prices will come down. Clear? This is the fundamental point which we have learned in the beginning of our classes only. At that time what will happen? Every farmer may not be getting the at least the investment money back. This is the place where exactly the government comes into the picture. You just go for the cultivation, you just produce the food grains. Irrespective of the situation in the market tomorrow, if there is a bumper crop and the prices will fall down, we will see that the falling of the prices will be protected, will be restricted at a particular place. And at a particular place we will be providing minimum support price where you will not be losing your investment. Am I clear? That is the reason why MSP is really very very important. Please read this paragraph once. MSP is the price at which government purchases crops from the farmers to safeguard the interest of the farmers. That is the basic purpose of the minimum support price, MSP. Now let's go ahead and look into the next slide. Look at this. So when it comes here, the government announces minimum support price, important point, I told you already, on the recommendation of CACP. Very 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 important one, right? Who recommends MSP? Your answer is CACP. Clear? It stands for Commission for Agricultural Cost and Prices. Next, the MSP is the guarantee price for their produce from the government. Clear? Don't worry, government is there, you will be getting the minimum support price. Am I clear? And what are the major objectives of the minimum support price? Clear? What are the objectives? For everything we have objectives. Clear? But what are the objectives for this MSP? Number one, to support the farmers from distress. Clear? Because they cannot tolerate, they cannot be in a position to withstand with respect to the losses. That is the reason why one main objective of MSP is to support the farmers from distress, right? Number two, procure food grains for public distribution. This is number two. Clear? So by purchasing the food grains from the farmers, government is protecting the interests of the farmers from the distress sale. Is that clear? Number one. Number two, by procuring the food grains, the government is in a position to distribute the food grains to the needy people. Clear? Am I clear? Sometimes what may happen? Now let me tell you. Government has announced MSP, minimum support price. Is it compulsory for a farmer to sell his produce only to the government at the minimum support price? No, need not be. Farmers are given the free hand, right? If the market price is higher than MSP, if the market price is higher than the MSP, then the farmers are free to sell their produce in the market itself. They need not sell it to the Food Corporation of India. They need not sell it to the government of India. Am I clear? But in any case, if the market price is less than MSP, hope you are getting me? If the market price is less than MSP, farmers don't think to sell it in the market because they are getting very very low if they are selling in the market, and the market price is lower than MSP, then obviously the farmers will be selling their produce only to the government and they are getting the minimum support price. Am I clear? So there are no restrictions on the farmers. Either you sell it to the government, or if you want to sell it in the market, you can sell it in the market. Am I clear? And the farmers are selling in the market when market price is higher than the MSP, and the farmers are selling it to the government when market price is less than MSP. Am I clear? This is really, really very important for you to understand, my dear friends. Am I clear? Next, in case the market price for the commodity, maybe wheat, maybe rice, maybe anything, right, falls below the announced minimum price due to the bumper production and glut in the market, government agencies purchase the entire quantity offered by the farmers at the announced minimum price. And the government agencies will not say, we'll be taking only, you know, the 500 kgs from you. We'll be taking only 1000 kgs from you. No, whatever is produced by the farmer, everything will be taken by the government. Clear? And government needs those food grains for the purpose of the distribution of the same to the people. Am I clear? Very, 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 very important. That is the reason why understanding these concepts are really, really very, very important. Look at this. So when it comes to this CACP, this is an attached office of the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. Very, very, very important one. CACP is a government agency, I told you. Every government agency has to work under one ministry or the other. Clear? And when it comes to CACP, it functions under the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. And that ministry is under the Government of India. And CACP came into existence in the year 1965. Just write down the point and remember this one. Who knows? Maybe a question in the examination. Right? So when it comes to the price support policy of the government, is directed at providing insurance to the agricultural producers, meaning farmers, against any sharp fall in farm prices. Clear? Farmers are panicked if suddenly the prices of the food grains are falling so below a particular limit, right? So if they sell it, they will be running into losses, and they are panicked. And the government is coming into the picture by giving assurance that you need not worry, we are there, we are going to support you, and we are going to purchase your food grains at a minimum support price. So the minimum guaranteed prices are fixed to set a floor below which market prices cannot fall. So obviously it's not, right? So below this MSP, market prices cannot fall. If market prices are falling below this one, then obviously what will happen? The farmers will be selling the entire produce only to the government, right? Till mid of the 1970s, government announced two types of administered prices. One is the minimum support price, which is very much relevant even today, which is existing even today. But when it comes to the procurement price, it is no more existing. So, right, many years back it was introduced by the government, but the government did not, get any, feasibility of benefits from this. That is the reason why the government has given up. Now we have only minimum support price and there is no procurement price. But for the purpose of examination, since it is a part of the syllabus, I would like to tell you what exactly is the meaning of the procurement price also. Clear? Now let's go ahead. Look at this. So when it comes to the MSP, it served as a floor price, I told you already, and fixed by the government in the nature of a long-term guarantee for the investment decisions of the producer, right? with the assurance that prices of the commodities would not be allowed to fall below the level fixed by the government, even in the case of a bumper crop. Right? If it is falling also, don't worry. Government is there. Government will be giving you the production in the form of the minimum support price. Am I clear? So this is point number one. But when it comes to the procurement price, these were the prices of the Kharif and Rabi cereals, at which the grain was to be domestically procured by the public agencies like FCI for the release through the PDS. Very, 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 very important, and these are called the procurement prices. Clear? But what happened here? This was announced soon after the harvest begins. Normally, procurement price was lower. Please understand very carefully. Normally, procurement price was lower than the open market price and higher than the MSP. Is that okay? So here again, the government wants to procure at very, very cheaper prices, so that it will become less burden on the government for the purpose of the distribution. Clear? Hope you are getting this. Right? I'll read it for you once again. Normally, procurement price was lower than the open market price and higher than the MSP. Is that okay? But what will happen here? So when it comes to lower than the open market price, even then also the farmers are interested to go to the market only. Clear? But the problem with the open market is that entire thing may not be purchased in the market. Clear? By the business people. But when it comes to the government always purchasing the whole produce that was produced by the farmers. Clear? This policy of two official prices, announced and continued with some variation up to 1973-74. It happened in the case of the paddy. But in case of wheat, it was discontinued in 1969 and revived in 1974-75 only for 1 year. Only for 1 year. Is that okay? Since there were too many demands for stepping up the MSP in 1975-76, the present system was evolved, in which only one set of prices were announced for paddy and other kharif crops, and wheat being produced for the buffer stock operations. Clear? So when you have two prices like this, MSP and procurement price, that led to the unnecessary confusion among the farmers. Clear? That is the reason why one was given up, and that was the procurement price. Am I clear? So what do we have now? MSP, minimum support price, is existing now. Clear? Next. So next, when we move to the next slide, look at this very clearly. It is mandated to recommend MSP, minimum support price, to incentivize the cultivators to adopt modern technology and raise productivity and overall grain production. So what is the meaning here? As our population is increasing, if you are producing same quantity or little more than that, that will not be sufficient. So farmers must be encouraged to produce more. So their productivity must be increased. That is the reason why they are encouraged to go for the new technology for the purpose of increasing the productivity. Am I clear? Population is increasing, but the land is not increasing. Land is same, but from the same land where you are cultivating, you should be able to produce more, and that is possible by adopting the new technology. Clear? Next, assurance of a remunerative and stable prices environment is considered very important for increasing agricultural production and productivity, since the marketplace for agricultural produce tends to be inherently unstable. Basically, what will happen? The market is completely unstable. The prices will increase, the prices will fall. That is the reason why for government, MSP is coming in handy to encourage the farmers to go ahead for the production. Am I clear? Towards this end, minimum support price for major agricultural products are fixed by the government each year. Every year MSP is announced by the government for the major products after taking into account of the recommendations of the CACP. That is the reason why the job of the CACP is a continuous. Is that okay? Now, so this is regarding certain points which are related to the MSP. Now look at this. So when it comes to CACP, it will recommend MSP, minimum support price, for 23 agricultural commodities. Very important one. Is that okay? Now these 23 will comprise 7 cereals like paddy, wheat, maize, sorghum, pearl millets, barley and ragi. 5 pulses like gram, tur, moong, urad and lentil. 7 oil seeds: groundnut, rapeseed mustard, soya bean, sesame, sunflower, safflower, Niger seed, and 4 commercial crops: copra, sugarcane, cotton and raw juice. Is that okay? So if you look at this very clearly, so these are all, for all these 23, the MSP is recommended by the CACP. And just remember one point here, this regarding sugarcane, we are going to discuss one more point in the next slide. Is that okay? So if you look at this very closely and clearly, 7 plus 5 plus 7 plus 4, clear how much it is coming to? 23, right? For all the 23, MSP is announced. Clear? Out of this 23, this is sugarcane. Regarding sugarcane, we are going to discuss one more point in the next slide, right? You should understand this one. Look at this. Government announces MSP for 22 mandated crops. For 22 mandated crops, the government is announcing MSP. But in the previous slide we said 23. Clear? Now I am making it very clear to you. For sugarcane, the government is announcing FRP. This is called fair and remunerative price. Very important one. Even the fair and remunerative price is also like MSP. Clear? So MSP is for 23 crops including sugarcane. But when it comes to sugarcane, this is considered to be fair and remunerative price. So tomorrow it may be a question in the examination. For which of the following crops fair and remunerative price is announced? If the question is so specific, your answer should also be very specific, and your answer should be sugarcane. Am I clear? Very important. So the mandated crops are 14 crops of the Kharif season, 6 Rabi crops, and 2 other commercial crops. Is that okay? In addition, the MSPs of Toria and dehusked coconut are fixed on the basis of the MSPs of the rapeseed and mustards and copra respectively. That is the reason why, just to go through this, these are the cereals, these are the pulses, these are the oil seeds, and you also have raw cotton, raw jute, copra, dehusked coconut, sugarcane you have, so Virginia, flue, cured tobacco, all these are coming into the picture. Clear? So once you understand this one, you love to read the news with respect to the agriculture. How exactly the pricing policy comes into the picture. Am I clear? So follow me very closely and carefully, then it will become easy for you to write an answer in the examination or to pick up the right option in the objective form of examination. Am I clear? Next one. So how exactly the government will decide, the prices. Initially, the CACP will come into the picture. The CACP will recommend to the government with respect to the price policy reports every year. Separately for 5 groups of commodities, namely for Kharif crops separately, Rabi crops separately, sugarcane separately, Rajut separately, and copra separately. So meaning 5 reports are submitted by CACP to the government. Am I clear? So right, that is the reason why government is not announcing MSP for all the crops at a time. They are presented in 5 different reports by CACP. Accordingly, the government will take the decision. Before preparing the 5 pricing policy reports, the Commission draws a comprehensive questionnaire and sends it to all the respective state governments and concerned national organizations and ministries. So obviously, it is not the CACP which is taking the decisions on its own. It is sending the questionnaire to the various states and the respective ministries. After that, the report is prepared. Subsequently, separate meetings are also held with the farmers from different states. Some farmers are producing paddy, some farmers are producing wheat, some farmers are producing cotton, some farmers are producing jute. So obviously, so you cannot mix up all the farmers. That is the reason why separate meetings are held. For this reason, CACP will also visit the states. Am I clear? And apart from the farmers, Food Corporation of India is also consulted. NAFED is also consulted. CCI, Cotton Corporation of India, is also consulted. Jute Corporation of India is also consulted. And the most important thing, the traders organizations will also be consulted. Then the final decision will be taken by the CACP. Am I clear? So this is a huge work. That is the reason why when the government says this is the MSP, so this is not just like they are throwing the price. No. Lot of work is done behind the screens by the CACP. Is that okay? So the Commission will make the visits to the states to make the on-the-spot assessment. So that what will happen? What is the crop? How much has been invested? And what should be the MSP that we should recommend? That will be assessed by CACP with the site visits, with the field visits. Am I clear? Hope you are getting me very clearly. Next. Based on all these inputs, the Commission then finalizes its recommendations and reports. Then it will be submitted to the government. Then government comes into the picture. The government in turn circulates CACP reports to the state governments and concerned central ministries. Meaning, government is not just directly relying on the reports of the CACP. CACP reports are submitted to again the state governments and the respective ministries. Then after getting the feedback, then the government is taking the final decision. After receiving the feedback, the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, during our current affairs classes, I told you many times regarding CCEA. Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs is the body headed by none other than the Prime Minister of India. So very powerful body, and that body will finalize the minimum support price after going through the whole process which I have explained to you. Am I clear? Right? So then, once the decision is taken, then the CACP will display its reports in the website. Right? Then we will be able to look at the website and we can understand the latest reports of the CACP. Right? This is not the direct one. Huge process will, go on before the final decision is taken by the government. Am I clear? And as you know, look at the screen. CCEA is headed by the Prime Minister of India. Right? And what determines the MSP? Is it okay? So in order to decide MSP, CACP will look into the demand and supply. What are the crops that are in demand and what is the supply? Number one. Number two, what is the cost of production of the each crop in various states? The cost of production may not be same for paddy in all the states. The cost of production for wheat may not be same. It varies from state to state. It varies from land to land for that matter. That is the reason why various factors must be taken into consideration by the CACP. Is that okay? Price trends in the market, both domestic and international, intercrop price parity, terms of trade between agriculture and non-agriculture, and a minimum of 50% as the margin over the cost of the production. This is very very important one, right? So say for example, the cost incurred maybe 10,000 rupees. Example, small example I am telling you. And the MSP will be decided in such a way to give support to the farmers that 50% as the margin over the cost. So if it is 10,000, 50% is 5,000, and the government will fix the MSP to give support to the farmers, right? So 10,000 is the expenditure and the farmer is getting 15,000 rupees. So 5,000 rupees is the profit. So by looking at the profits, obviously the farmers are motivated to go further for the production in the coming seasons also. Am I clear? Next, and a likely implication of the MSP on the consumers of that product. Like this, various factors are taken into consideration by the so-called MSP, right? And this is a known point. Please look at this. The cost of production is an important factor that goes as an input in the determination of the MSP, but it is certainly not the only factor that determines the MSP. This point I want you to understand very, 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 very clearly. Basically, what will happen whenever we say minimum support price, people will be expecting that the cost of the expenditure cost is the only factor that is taken into consideration by the CACP. No, that is one of the factors. Am I clear? Right? So this is what we have explained in the earlier slide. Am I clear? Good. Now, and these are the small points which you already know we have discussed. So we have two main seasons, Kharif and Rabi, right? And this is regarding Kharif and this is regarding Rabi, and between Rabi and Kharif again you have a season by name Zaid. We have already understood, right? Summer crops. Clear? So what are the important Kharif crops? What are the important Rabi crops? That is there on the screen, right? So now if you look at this very clearly, to facilitate the procurement of the food grains, Food Corporation of India and various state agencies in consultation with the state governments establish a large number of purchase centers. So this is one very very important point. So when it comes to procurement of the food grains, nothing but you are purchasing from the farmers. Farmers are spread across the country. Farmers are there in every state, and you are going to supply the food grains to the people in different states. That is the reason why the FCI, in consultation with the state governments, will organize the procurement places. That is the place where the FCI is purchasing the food grains from the farmers. Clear? So FCI will procure, it will collect, gather, procure and store the food grains in the warehouses. After storing this one, then again, depending on the need and necessities of the each state, the central government will decide what are the food grains and how much quantity that should be sent to each state. right? And this is the place where exactly the civil supplies ministry, civil supplies department at the state level will come into the picture. Clear? And this is the department in every state that will look into this one. So central government is procuring, from there the food grains are reaching the state government, and the state government at the state level, you have so many districts. In each district again you have mandals, in each mandal again you have the villages. So the food grains after procured by the central government will reach the state. State government will decide how much quantity has to be sent to each district. From there, how much will be going to each mandal and village and to the families that are in need for this, food grains. Like this, the central government and the state governments work in coordination, and they will see that the food grains are reaching the people. Am I clear? Very, 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 very important one. Right. So now if you look at the last point here, what are the stocks which are brought to the purchase centers falling within the government of India specification are purchased at the fixed support price? So what are the food grains that are coming to the purchasing centers? At the purchasing centers, they are purchased with a minimum support price. If the farmers are getting better prices than the MSP from other buyers, such as traders and millers, the farmers are free to sell their produce to them. No restrictions to the farmers. Farmers are not compelled to sell it only to the government. Farmers are free to sell in the open market if the farmers are getting more money, more price than the MSP. Am I clear? Then last point, FCI and the state governments, its agencies will ensure that the farmers are not compelled to sell their produce below the support price. Clear? No such force is there, no such restrictions are there. Farmers are given complete free hand. If you want to sell it to the government, you sell it and take the MSP. If you feel that open market price is higher than the MSP, you can sell it in the open markets. Am I clear? So this is regarding the agricultural pricing and policy in India. We have discussed regarding minimum support price, procurement price and issue price. Is that okay? And we have also discussed regarding the the distribution. Kindly remember, this is the civil supplies department at the state level that will play crucial role with respect to the distribution of the food grains to the people. Fine. So that's all for the day. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next session.